Okay, so here we are with the one from Thomas or Maria's story. Right, circle, 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 right, right. That hmm. If this is corresponding to what I think it is, then this isn't all that good. I mean, okay, so I am aware of something called the labyrinth. And I was thinking, like, after the first one, like, oh, they're giving me directions on how to navigate it, but I'm not sure. I gotta input all of that. There's more? Crunch, crunch. Crunch, 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 crunch. Masamichi Fukuma sits on a cardboard box, nibbling away at some rice crackers. Crunch, crunch. Crunch, 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 crunch. Fukuma is in charge of making deliveries for a costume rental company. Uh-oh. Once he gets an ordered item to its destination, his job is pretty much done. Today, his mouth is on autopilot. He stares at a big screen TV in the office. The afternoon variety show is doing a feature on the big revival concert for the legendary hard rock band Z Japonica. Ha! Fukuma lets out a big yawn. There's nothing interesting in the way of news either. He considers pretending that he has another delivery and taking the company vehicle over by Aoyama Cemetery where he can sneak a quick nap. Suddenly the door to the room swings open. Bounding through it comes a pink rabbit. Fukuma quickly stands at attention. He does this because he's afraid that the rabbit is his father. His father owns the rental company and has recently grown so fond of mascot costumes that he's rarely seen outside of his rabbit suit. Most of his employees don't even know what he actually looks like. Phew, sorry I'm late. A woman's voice emerges from the rabbit's mouth, panting raspily. Now that Fukuma has calmed down enough to process things, he recalls that his father's costume is brown. It's a wild rabbit. The pink bunny costume is one the company has on hand for rental. Fukuma lets out a sigh of relief. I'm here to return this. The rabbit squirms in an attempt to remove her head, but she can't quite reach the fasteners. Here, let me help you with that. Fukuma quickly gives her a hand and tugs the head off by the ears. The head pops off, revealing the attractive, slightly ruddy face of a young woman. Her hair is done up, and beads of sweat run down her neck. Thank you so much. That's a huge help. The pink rabbit with the girl's face smiles. Fukuma swallows. His heart skips a beat. She's perfect. I'm supposed to have this back by 5 p.m. Is that still okay? Fukuma checks the clock on the wall. It's coming up on 5 o'clock exactly. Yes, that's quite alright. If you can just take the costume off now. Oh, good. Relief shows on the woman's face, then just as quickly vanishes. Oh, she says in dismay. Wait, no. What's the matter? The woman looks away. The suit's really hot, so I'm not wearing a whole lot underneath. Not wearing a lot. A flurry of appealing images rushed through Fukuma's head. I'm sorry to ask, but is there a room someplace I could use to get changed? Of course, yes, a room. I can show you to a room. Shyly, Fukuma leads the young woman to a spare room. Once you're done changing, just let me know. He gently shuts the door and then starts to head off. Oomph. A grunt of discomfort stops Fukuma in his tracks. Where now the only ones in the office are him and this young woman. He presses his ear to the door and hears the sound of a zipper being pulled down. Oh, my arms. He can hear her squirming her way free of the body piece. The arms are always the toughest part when you're new to the things. He imagines her twisting her body this way and that as she strains against the costume. Fukuma's breath quickens. Oh no. Okay, let's just... Whoa! The sound of a piece of furniture being knocked over comes through the door. Are you alright, miss? Fukuma calls out hurriedly. Sorry, I just tripped. Are you hurt? I'm okay, this thing's just really hard to get off. My sweat is the fabric all stuck to my skin. Stuck to her skin with sweat? Such simple words to fiercely entice a man's fantasies. So, what should I do? She asked meekly. What should I do? What does come next? Fukuma's fantasies run all the more wild. I'm sorry, it's really awkward to have to ask this, but would you mind coming in here? There it is. Her idea, not mine. Yes! Yes, yes! Yes, of course he'll head on in. Carefully, Fukuma opens the door. The woman stands there, the rabbit suit halfway off. Her slender shoulders are exposed beneath her frowning face. He also notices that she is rather well endowed, given her slender frame. I'm sorry, I think the zipper along the back is snagged on the fabric. It won't come down. The woman turns to show her back. Her smooth, pale skin glows. Her sweat glistens in the light. Would you mind giving me a hand with this? Uh-huh. Fukuma's voice spikes unintentionally. The woman quickly whirls around. She draws her hands up to her chest. He can't take his eyes off her cleavage. Oh my god. Hey now, just where are you looking? No, I'm not. I'm not looking at anything. Fukuma forces himself to cover his eyes with a hand. Peeking between his fingers, he gets a glimpse of her face, red with anger. It's okay, he assures her. I know where everything is, even with my eyes closed. Alright, if you'd be so kind then. At last, she seems relieved. She turns to face the window again, presenting her back. Now's my chance. Fukuma's eyes snap back open and he drinks in the sight of the young woman's back. This guy. You're not looking, are you? No, of course not. I see your eyes are open in the reflection in the window. Sorry. This time Fukuma really does close his eyes and begins groping forward in search of the zipper. Eat! Hey, watch your hands! Sorry, just trying to feel my way around. My back is just really sensitive. Man is a troubled animal. Simply hearing that her back is sensitive has his blood pressure spiking through the roof again. His hands shake with excitement, and somehow his arm gets lodged inside the suit. How? Eek! Sorry. Her bare skin is slick with sweat and wonderfully smooth. It's been many years now since Fukuma last had a girlfriend. He feels like his mind might short-circuit out of joy and excitement. He shouldn't do this. He has to calm down. This is work. He needs to be professional. And this time for sure, Fukuma vows to himself. Yep. The woman drops down as if weak in the knees. Oh, yeep. My bad. She then proceeds to shuffle away from Fukuma. Oh, this is bad. This time is real bad. Her posture has made the curves of her backside visible. She crawls on all fours to the wall in an attempt to get away. This is getting very uncomfortable now. That wasn't on purpose, Fukuma pleads. Seeing that she isn't listening, he steps in front of her, spreading his arms wide to bar her way. The first time my hand slipped because of the sweat, and I made sure to try to be more careful the next time, and look, it's the zipper's fault. Abruptly, the door swings open. Standing there is a wild rabbit. Dad? To Fukuma, the rabbit's long ears look like the devil's horns. The creature marches slowly into the office. It's just a costume, but somehow its fur appears to stand angrily on end. Fukuma needs an excuse. He needs an excuse and fast. It's not what it looks like. I was just trying to help her get it off and... He doesn't get to finish his sentence. The rabbit swings his fist with all the might of the king of beasts. Honestly, he deserves that. Like, wow. That was getting uncomfortable. So there's one of these on... Oh, that means I need to go back to the glove one and enter that code. So then this isn't for... Wow. So yeah, that's not for the labyrinth. And also, this ran pretty long in the first place. I guess I can split apart these special stories, so... Alright. I guess next week... Well, I mean, I'm doing this outro. Alright, whatever. I can just, like, splice this in as post-commentary and to the previous parts. So, yeah. Jump cut back to Kajiwara's gloves. Alright, back here at Osawa's story. Right, circle, circle, right. Thank you. Now that I know what I'm doing here... Kajiwara! Kajiwara looked across the interrogation room table at the robbery suspect who sat opposite. Please, the detective said. All I ask is that you tell me what you know. What's in it for me if I do? The suspect leaned back in his seat and crossed his arms, a smug look on his face. A casual observer glancing in at the door would have had trouble deciding who was interrogating whom. A less experienced detective would probably have blown a fuse. "What's in it for you, huh?" Kajiwara remained as detached as ever. Over years of interrogation practice, he developed a laid-back, low-pressure style. "Well, if you don't give me anything, I'm just going to have to keep talking." By now, their back and forth had been going on for quite some time. Kajiwara stole a glance at his wristwatch. It was after 1 o'clock in the afternoon. "I know you didn't have lunch, so I bet you're hungry. Here, eat up." The detective produced a deep-fried curry bun from his pocket. The man eyed it dubiously. "Would you prefer a banana?" asked Kajiwara. The man cracked a faint smile as he accepted the curry bun. "You're sure it's okay doing this?" "Why wouldn't it be?" "Isn't this an under-the-table bribe to get me to incriminate myself? What if I testify in court that I was coerced into giving a confession?" "Then I'll bill you for the curry bun. With tax, it comes to 280 yen. The suspect was taken aback. 280 yen? Isn't that kind of expensive? "They're handmade, from my favorite bakery. Waited in line myself to buy them this morning." Kajiwara took another curry bun from his pocket, for himself. The two ate in silence, a temporary cessation of hostilities. "Need something to drink?" The detective produced a carton of milk from his pocket. "I hate milk. Gives me indigestion." "I see." Kajiwara reached back into his pocket, this time pulling out a cup. "Whoa, hey, hold up." The man's expression turned quizzical. "What is this?" "It's a vessel you use for drinking beverages." "No, I know what a cup is." Kajiwara pulled a teapot out of his pocket. It was filled with scalding hot black tea. "This shouldn't upset your stomach. Go on, have a cup." "Seriously, hold on." "Oh, are you not familiar with black tea either?" "No, that's not it." The man slammed his hands on the table and glared back at Kajiwara. What the hell is with your pockets? How much stuff do you have packed in there?" "How much? Shall we see?" Kajiwara reached a hand into a pocket. He proceeded to pull out a comb, a handheld video game, some rice crackers, a screwdriver, a folding umbrella, a stuffed Tama plush. Wait. The man waved his arms in agitation. "How the heck do you have so much stuff in there?" "It's quite convenient, really." "That's not the point," the man shouted. The interrogation room door opened and another policeman stuck his head in. "Detective Kajiwara, may I have a moment?" From the look on the other officer's face, Kajiwara surmised at once what was going on. There was a new case. He stepped out of the briefing room and his colleague explained the situation. "We received a tip-off that a wanted individual has checked into Shibuya Central Hospital under assumed name." Leaving the robbery suspect to another detective, Kajiwara prepared to head to the scene. When he got to the motor pool, however, he found that all the squad cars had been taken out. Without much other choice, he hopped onto a bicycle. He took a rotating police light from his pocket and set it in the bike's basket. Then he pedaled away at top speed. Upon arriving at the hospital, Kajiwara hurried into the lobby. He scanned the area looking for the suspect. The individual in question was 180 centimeters tall, weighed 90 kilos, and had a big scar near one eye. Kajiwara recalled hearing that he was a former rugby player. His colleague, Detective Kano, had been a rugby player too. From what Kajiwara had seen, most rugby players were quite physically capable. This arrest would require some finesse. Aha! The detective nearly voiced his surprise aloud. A large-statured man was sitting on one of the sofas in the lobby. Surely Kajiwara couldn't have gotten so lucky right off the bat. He quietly approached and peered at the man's face. The fellow had a big scar near his eye. There was no doubt about it. This was the wanted man. "Excuse me," Kajiwara said calmly. The suspect started, then lunged forward and gave him a powerful shove. The man was even stronger than Kajiwara had imagined. The detective went sprawling onto the lobby floor. The man took off running. He was remarkably quick for someone who was supposed to be sick. Once he'd made it outside, he snatched Kajiwara's bicycle and zoomed away. Damn it! The detective pulled a skateboard from his pocket and went after him. The culprit took a look over his shoulder. His jaw dropped in astonishment. He sped into a nearby parking garage. Evidently, he had some sort of remote control because a shutter dropped down and closed the entrance behind him. What the heck? Taking a chainsaw from his pocket, Kajiwara cut through the steel shutter like it was paper. When he stepped inside, he saw that the suspect was taking the elevator to the rooftop. By the time Kajiwara reached the rooftop himself, the man had hopped over the guard fence and leapt to the building next door. The crook grinned at him, his face flushed with triumph. There was a good 6-meter gap between the buildings. Kajiwara would never be able to make that jump. Aha! I've got just the thing. From his pocket, the detective pulled a long rope with a grappling hook on one end. Hurling the hook with all his strength, he hooked it onto the fence of the adjoining building. Yeah! Unleashing a battle cry, the detective jumped and swung to the next building. The suspect was dumbstruck as Kajiwara stood before him. I think that's enough of this little game of tag, Kajiwara said. But there was still a glint of defiance in the criminal's eyes. He crouched low, shoulders hunched, and arms at the ready. It looked like he was going to launch into a rugby tackle. Kajiwara couldn't stand up to a head-on charge from someone that big. He might well go careening over the edge of the roof to splatter on the concrete far below. Should he dodge aside then? No. If this guy was a rugby player, that would be no easy feat. The culprit stared him down, then began to rush forward. Dodging wasn't an option. Neither was bearing the brunt of the impact, which left only one thing. Aha! Kajiwara pulled a hose from his pocket. It was the kind used by fire engines, 50 millimeters in diameter. Okay, take this. Just before the criminal could land the tackle, the limp hose suddenly plumped up. Is that a euphemism? A massive torrent of water gushed forth. The burly man was blasted backward as if he were an empty paper bag. There's more where that came from. Kajiwara continued to unload water on the man, battering him into unconsciousness. Then he looked down at the culprit lying there on the rooftop and quietly shook his head. If you hadn't tried to resist, none of this would have been necessary. Kajiwara himself was drenched head to toe with water. He reached into his pocket for his handkerchief. His hand stopped. Kajiwara sighed and shook his head. Of all the days to forget his handkerchief. Well, that's... Oh man. That's a new meaning of deep pockets. Alright. A fire hose. And all that, he forgets his handkerchief. Alright. Onward to the next state. Okay, here we go. Right, right, circle, right, right, circle. Rumi. Special episode? I'm not sure I get what you mean by special, but you're not sharing a bunch of half-truths about my... Oh. Special episode. I'm not sure I get what you mean by special, but you're not sharing a bunch of half-truths about my daughter with anyone. The end. Well, that's what I would like to say, but you've worked too hard trying to find this thing, so it'd be rude to leave you with just that. I actually thought that was about to be it. My name is Shizuo Kudo. Rumi is my only daughter. Maybe it's presumptuous of me to brag, but today let me talk a little bit about her. I won't mince words. Rumi is beautiful. After we walked around Shibuya together today, I feel that more strongly than ever. It's just dawning on me they have never showed her face. Is this a Junko thing? Because it also heralds back to how Kanan's face was never shown in the like little flashback segments. Huh. Yeah. How do we watch Shibuya together there? I feel that more struggling than ever. All the other women out on the street made my roomie look even more dazzling by comparison. That's how much her good looks stand out in a crowd. There's no end to the trouble that comes your way when you have a daughter that gorgeous. You never know where or when some low-life boyfriend might latch on to her. Still, using the techniques I fostered during my police days, keeping tabs on Rumi's daily activities isn't too difficult. When she heads someplace even slightly dangerous, I make sure to tail her from a distance in order to keep a watchful eye on her. When work doesn't let me do that, I have one of my off-duty colleagues go in my stead. Let me tell you about what happened one summer several years ago. At the time, Rumi was in high school, and she told me she was going to a fireworks festival with her friends. There were going to be tens of thousands of people at the festival. Tailing her in a crowd that size would likely be impossible. And so I entered a bid to be the person in charge of security for the event. I drafted up a high-level security plan and got to head things up on site the day of. Thanks to that, the event went off without a hitch, and I was able to keep my roomie completely safe. I may have gone way over the security budget, but what else was I supposed to do when my daughter's safety was at stake? No doubt there are some people who think that I go too far in my actions. And to those people, let me just make one thing abundantly clear. I most certainly do not go too far. In fact, if you saw how lovely Rumi is, you'd probably think I wasn't going far enough. And I'm not saying that with any parental bias or anything either. I'll have you know that Rumi was chosen as Midoriyama Academy's Miss Midoriyama too. And I didn't have any part in making that happen. I did consider orchestrating things ahead of time, but I didn't have any connections with the Ministry of Education, so that wasn't an option. My point is, I put my strongest efforts into taking care of my daughter. I have loved her uncompromisingly. And yet, I need to accept that someday she'll leave the nest. The problem is that the guy she fell for is a detective. That was my blind spot. I never considered that Rumi might fall in love with a detective. Choosing a civil servant as a marriage prospect is all well and good. Still, if he's going to be a civil servant, he should be anything but a detective. Lately, though, my insistence on that point has been starting to waver. After the long years I spent working as a detective, I can tell what my girl is really thinking with every word, every little change in expression. Rumi's feelings for her boyfriend are the real deal. She loves him from the bottom of her heart, and he's very dear to her. Maybe she even loves him more than her own father. He's the man Rumi chose. He's probably got his act together, too. The fact that he's a detective still bothers me, but I can't deny my daughter her happiness forever. When I think about how she feels, I wonder if I should let her marry him. But I'm a stubborn man. I've been opposed to their getting married this whole time. My body language says it clearly enough. No detectives. And if that alone is enough to make a guy back down, well, if that's the case, then good riddance. I can introduce Rumi to a fine civil servant who isn't a detective instead. Maybe in about 10 years or so. Wow, he's an awful parent. Anyway, that one is done. Onward to the next one in a bad end. Oh boy. Okay, this one took a minute to show up. Come on. Please. I just want to see the special story. I still got how many of these to do? 8? Oh man. Yeah, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Oh, but no, there's one that I can't do because they were like Suzune's story. which I'm a little confused about. So, yeah, just 7 more to go. Any minute now. Okay, that's right circle, right circle, circle. He's done it. Ryoko Kakinuma, yay, her! Ryoko Kakinuma. Her name may not ring a bell, but you might recognize her as one of the waitresses who works at the Cafe Lautrec. I like her. She's currently enrolled in the law school at Midoriyama Academy. She's also insanely cute. Her hope for the future is, of course, to become a lawyer. Revisions to the bar exam have made that challenge a trifle easier, but it's still a tough obstacle to overcome. She practically studies in her sleep. Listening in on trials is one of Ryoko's hobbies. She takes the Tokyo Metro Shibuya line to Kasumigaseki Station, and then heads to the nearby court building to observe whatever is going on there. Ryoko is especially fond of the district court, which handles the first hearing in local cases. Trials can be quite interesting. They're like little dramas about human emotions and desires. But recently, in the course of her courtroom visits, Ryoko found herself with a new reason to be present. She'd caught sight of a man in the courtroom who utterly intrigued her. She wanted to approach him, wanted to talk to him, but it was never going to happen. Now then, shall we begin? His low, honeyed voice made Ryoko's heart melt. Would the defendant please come forward? The man who had so fascinated her was the presiding judge. His eyes glimmered with cool intellect, while his wild shock of hair hinted at a rugged individualism. Ryoko couldn't help it. She wanted to be closer to this man. But the judge's bench was so very far removed from the visitors' gallery. Oh, what can I possibly do to get near him? Should I sully my hands with some crime? If I did, he'd have to look me in the eyes as he rendered judgment. The more absurd Ryoko's fantasies grew, the more the judge consumed her thoughts. Today, as she waited for a court session to begin, she could think of nothing else. Ryoko sat in the visitors' gallery, wearing a brightly patterned dress. Would he notice and find her change of style appealing? What if he thought it didn't suit her? She vacillated between getting worked up in a good way and in a bad way. She imagined him thinking one thing or the other. You're always in here, aren't you? Ryoko turned the voice to see a group of middle-aged women gathered behind her. All of them had gaudily dyed hair and sported gold necklaces and rings. Middle-aged Gyaru girls? And who might you be? Ryoko asked with some trepidation. You made eye contact with them earlier, didn't you? Huh? Don't play dumb. We know the scene. This wasn't making any sense. What are you talking about? The woman's faces abruptly turned sour. You need permission from the boss first, one of them said. Otherwise, how can we possibly maintain order? Look, I really don't know what you're getting at here. Could you explain from the beginning? Ryoko asked. The women sighed in unison. That's a newbie for you, said one. Now, we're all like that at first, said another. Very well, I suppose. Allow me to explain. One of the women stepped in front of Ryoko. We're groupies of the judge who's about to show up. Ryoko's eyes went wide. She never imagined that a judge could even have groupies. But, the older woman continued, if we simply do as we please, we'll be a nuisance to the poor man, when of course what we want is to be supportive. The other women nodded in agreement. Yes, don't make the first move, don't try to give him anything, just look, but don't make too much eye contact. And no hogging him for yourself, we share him with everybody. That's just the basics of groupism. A normie like you coming along uninvited, well, you'd best take care not to cause trouble. Groupism? Normie? These were clearly jargon, but Ryoko had no idea what they might mean. Hey, are you even listening? One of the women asked. Yes, I am. Sorry, I don't really understand the words you're using. Groupism is the practice of helping your fellow groupies. Normies mean regular old normal people. Oh, sure, I get it. Ryoko inclined her head. So, what did you want with me? If you're going to be making eyes at that man, you need to be a member. What? Ryoko may have indulged in some flights of fancy, but she was content simply to look. Being part of some group that came here to obsess over the judge sounded like a total nuisance. I'll pass, thank you. I'm fine just looking at the guy. By myself. The older women fiercely narrowed their eyes. I heard that. You just referred to His Honor as a guy. I do believe that's in violation of Article 2 of the agreement. The agreement has been violated. Punishment must be meted out. Meted out? Alright. Ryoko recoiled as the older women flew into an uproar. Look, ladies, your weird pack has nothing to do with me. How dare you? As the women stood glaring at each other, court staff and officials began filing into the courtroom. The judge was among them. Rather than cease their bickering, however, both sides elected to escalate. Be quiet, the judge called out angrily. I'll have you all thrown out. But none of the combatants could even hear him over the sound of their own voices. The groupies had launched into a rambling tirade about their way of life, the generation gap, their academic histories, social standing, and stock indices. As a form of argument, it went far beyond unproductive. Ryoko had been pushed to her limits. How about we have him settle this matter for us? She shouted. The older woman abruptly fell silent, taken aback. This is a courtroom. Let's ask the judge to decide who's in the right. Ryoko rushed to the front of the visitors' gallery and called out to the judge. These women are being weird, right? Can I please have an official verdict? The older women were quick to fire back. This young lady is at fault for not knowing her place. We've done nothing wrong. The judge stared at them, his face suddenly a mask of stern deliberation. Ryoko and the others held their breaths. You're both in the wrong. The stern rebuke elicited peals of joy from Ryoko and the other women. More. Say something else, please. Oh, please deliberate some more. All of you behave. The judge's tone was even harsher now, but Ryoko and the others only shrieked more gleefully. I said behave, the judge roared. He hurled the object he'd been carrying at the giddy group in the gallery. Bulky and heavy, it hurtled through the air. Ryoko and the others reached out their arms, each struggling to be the first to get their hands on it. Lunging forward at the last instant, Ryoko landed the catch. I'll be taking this, thanks. With a cry of triumph, she dashed out of the courtroom. As she exited the building, she could hear the older women crying out in dismay behind her. She grinned gleefully, clutching her prize to her chest. It remains her proudest possession to this day. That judge's personal copy of the Compendium of Laws. This is getting weird as shit. So more so, these don't seem to have anything to do with the plot. Or, well, to be fair, the other ones didn't really have much to do with plot either, but it allowed some clarification on some things, like the woman and the dwarves that helped her cook, or how the loan sharks met. But yeah, whatever. Now I need to fix this timeline. Yeah, by going back here. And then yeah, we can go to the next one. Some of these are taking so long to show up now, I genuinely thought I was in the wrong area. Alright, right, circle, circle, right. Chiaki! Underneath the dazzling, brightly lit sign was a staircase leading to the basement level entrance. I stood at the top of the steps. Maybe I should have turned this one down. No, I couldn't think like that. There was no way I could turn this down. I'd been completely broke, with no money and no other work in the offing when Mr. Mino gave me this chance. I had been tasked with a page of the monthly 4-star General Gossip, and I wanted my work to live up to his expectations. I had to do it. But it all started several hours earlier. There's this new establishment that's popular with with middle-aged and older folks, Mr. Mino said. I'd like you to go there and get an interview. I was a bit startled by the request. It's popular with old guys. Is it... blah, blah, blah. Is this place something risque? The core demographic for the gossip was older men. This readership was often baited with lewd articles. But if this place in question was a porn shop or something similar, wouldn't it be better to send a man instead? No, Mr. Mino said. It's not what you're thinking. It's perfectly fine for women to go there. What sort of establishment is it then? Mr. Mino cleared his throat. From what I hear, they yell at you. Yell at you like you pay them to get mad at you on purpose? That's right. What for? That's what I'm sending you to go find out. I've made an appointment for you, so get going already. Mr. Mino's barking kicked me into gear, and I found myself heading over to the place. With some trepidation, I made my way down the stairs. People got mad at me all the time when I was out on the job, so I couldn't understand why anyone would want to pay for the privilege of being chewed out. Well, BDSM is a popular kink, just saying. I opened the door at the end of the hall, and my ears were immediately treated to the sounds of women's voices snapping angrily. I told the young man working as the host that I was there for an interview, and he led me to a waiting room. There were female employees in there, glaring sharply at the waiting customers. Why are the people who work here so angry? I asked. Oh, that's a service we provide for free. The young host kept his voice low, but there was pride in his response. Every so often, one of the women would click her tongue in disapproval. Each time he heard it, the older man alongside her would sheepishly cast his eyes down. I hadn't the foggiest idea why he seemed so happy. I was scared. No, more like weirded out. If I could have, I would have turned right around and left. But I needed the money, and more importantly, I owed it to Mr. Mino to get the material he wanted. Chiaki Iso, we're ready for you now, said the host. This way, please. Yes, of course. Thank you so much. My voice broke as I gave my reply. Awkwardly, I shoveled out of the waiting room. A woman on a sofa glared at me, shaking her head and tisking 3 times. The private rooms were maybe 50 square feet, the floor covered with tatami mats. We do hope you enjoy yourself. Please wait here, kneeling in the seiza position. I did as I was told, and got on my knees with my legs folded beneath my thighs. I worried that if I didn't, the host would be mad at me as well. As I waited nervously, I could hear voices coming from the room next door. Oh, she worded it wrong. They don't think she's there for, to interview them. They think she's there for an interview to get a job there. An older man and a woman were speaking with animation. Oh, bless you. Are you really sorry, you miserable little ingrate? Bless you, bless you. What the heck were they going on about? How could something like that be fun? You sure seem to be enjoying yourself. I looked up to see that a woman had come into the room while I was distracted. It's not every day a girl shows up here. Did I hear correctly? You're here for an interview? Yeah. And do you know just what it means to be scolded? She was older than me and had the bearing of a private secretary. Now she loomed above me with a condescending glare. This is getting really close in the Tama voice territory, but oh well. All I could do was peer back up at her, down there on my knees. Who told you were allowed to look up? Sorry. I quickly broke off eye contact. Wasn't I making her sort of sound like Mikan? I don't think I went that deep with her voice. Where are you looking? Look a person in the eye when you're talking to them. First it was don't look, then it was look. This was absurd. I just wanted to get this over with as quickly as possible. Huddling on myself, I focused on that hope. The woman let out a deep sigh of disapproval. Are you going to write an article about how you don't understand why people would go out of their way to be scolded? Or maybe they did know. All right, well. No, of course not. Don't you lie to me. She belted out the words furiously. Well, go on. Am I wrong? What are you going to do? Answer me. Eep. I couldn't take it anymore. I wanted to go home. Plus my butt was getting all sweaty from sitting in Seiza. Look at how weak and subservient you are. You've lived your whole life just running away from your responsibilities. That's why you deserve a chewing out like this. I felt like she'd hit me in my very core. She zeroed right in on all of the internal issues I'd been harboring. The fact was, she was right. I'd been a wishy-washy mess my entire life. Back in elementary school, when my gym teacher told me he wasn't going to let me go home until I was able to do a pull-up, I just clung to the metal bar and stared blankly out at the sunset. When I was taking high school entrance exams, there was one time when my train was running late for the test for the school I most wanted to attend, and I just gave up and went home. I was the same now, too. When I was broke and hungry, instead of trying to get work, I just lie in bed and stare at the wall. It'd be like that sometimes. I was hopeless. A hopeless excuse for a human being. No, that was going easy on myself. I was a no-good, worthless, hopeless excuse for a human being. Before I knew it, tears were streaming down my cheeks. What's all this? You think it's okay to cry? People like you are the reason men get all worked up about women using tears as a weapon. Apologize. Apologize on behalf of women everywhere, right now. I'm sorry. My voice was choked by tears and ragged with raw emotion. Ragged, rather. Say it louder. Say it like you mean it. I'm sorry. And that's when I noticed a group of people had gathered by the doorway. The host who'd show me around, the women who worked there, and even some other customers were all watching. I looked up and they broke into applause. Huh? I blurted, bewildered. Amazing. You really know how to take a scolding. Huh? What? Had no idea what was going on. Everyone just kept on clapping. Don't look away like that. No flattering yourself just because you're getting applause. Yes, ma'am. My audience let out a collective cry of awe at my mewling squeak. But the woman seemingly unsatisfied, proceeded to scold me all the more harshly. In the end, I wound up getting chewed out for twice as long as would be usual. The club was, kind enough to set that up for me. Really, though, all I wanted was to get out of there and go home as soon as possible.
Chiaki, you're late. What have you been doing?
As I came stumbling out of the club, I nearly ran into Mr. Mino waiting for me by the entrance. Evidently, he'd come to get me when I didn't make it back by the appointed time. I apologized for not calling him and explained the situation. Thankfully, he believed me.
So then, how did the interview go?
It went great. I got a ton of applause. And so began another harsh chewing out as Mr. Mino demanded that I explain just what the hell kind of interview I'd been doing.
That was a weird one. That was a weird one. Actually just got up and did something while waiting for this one to show up. Right, circle, right, circle, right. Oh no. Taisei Yasuda. The sound of fingers clacking across the keyboard echoed in the dimly lit room. As soon as he'd gotten back to his apartment after his shift at the second-hand shop, Yasuda had gone straight to his computer. Ever since he'd started his blog, his day didn't feel complete until he'd made an update. And there we go. Taking a deep breath, Yasuda read back over what he'd just written. It's called mixed martial arts for a reason. It's more than just punching. If your strikes aren't working out, you go for a takedown or something instead. I share my observations here on my blog, and then the week after, he managed to get his first win in a while. I'm positive that he saw my past. So come on, Funayama. If you're lost in the darkness, just lend me your ear. I'll let you know what to do.
Another good one today.
Feeling pleased, Yasuda clicked the post button. The floor of Yasuda's 100-foot square apartment with kitchenette was littered with mounds of martial arts magazines, so many that there was hardly any room to walk. His tiny LCD TV was set to a martial arts cable network. The TV ran 24 hours a day, and he saved the footage to a hard disk recorder. And of course, once a week, he would go out to see a fight, and then post about it on his blog. His most recent post was typical of his combative tone. He knew that he had come off as a little harsh, but his criticism was driven by his love of the sport. His confident online pronouncements did lead to an intense backlash from time to time, however. A few days after his scathing critique of Funayama, for example, Yasuda received a rare response on his blog. The respondent's username was Passerby. That's how he took his opponent to the mat toward the end of the match, right? Seriously, what match were you even watching? And where the hell do you get off, offering pointers like that? Yasuda's blood boiled as he read the comment. Where the hell did this person get off? His fingers darted to the keyboard. Huh? First off, who the hell are you? That tackle was clearly just him trying not to look like he'd been taken down. You don't think that was deliberately set up? Poof, don't make me laugh. STFU, noob. Funiyama has had a pretty comprehensive career. If he has enough humility to hear me out, I'm sure he'll be able to win. Don't you want him to have a bright, bold future? If not, you can just GTFO. I'm not going to delete your comment because I want other people to be able to see how wrong you are. Satisfied that he'd set the record straight, Yasuda went to bed. But the next morning when he checked his blog before going to work, he noticed immediately that something was unusual. The thread had gotten over 300 replies. Wow, someone sure is full of himself. Quit talking like you know more than you do. Maybe you should try stepping into the ring yourself if you're such an expert. Look at me, I can teach some dumbass what I know. People were having a field day. A few of them had come to Yasuda's defense, but they had been dismissed as sock puppet accounts. He snarled as he stared at the monitor, too preoccupied to even think of heading to the shop. Should he close the thread? Should he maybe close the whole blog instead? He leaned back and stared at the ceiling, thinking hard. He could only come to one conclusion. I'm not running from this. I'll take on any challengers, anytime, anywhere. Slapping himself on both cheeks, Yasuda started typing out a new post. You guys don't understand anything. Mixed martial arts, as the name implies, involves a mixture of different fighting styles. Karate, judo, wrestling, boxing, you name it. I've done it. I'm watching these fights on a different level than the rest of you. So STFU, you noobs. I'm gonna school you. In reality, not only did Yasuda have no martial arts experience, he had barely participated in any sports in his entire life. The only place he was a martial artist was inside his own head. His new post generated even more comments than before. 20 comments were usually a good day. This time, he'd easily blown past 3,000. Sweat beaded on Yasuda's forehead. It wasn't out of any apprehension, though. His fighting spirit had been ignited. Yasuda! 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 An imaginary crowd chanted his name in his mind. I'm being tested right now. Tested on my love of the martial arts. That's it. I'm not opening the shop today. This is more important than work. He whipped off his shirt, leaving himself half naked. He smacked himself in the cheeks repeatedly with his open palms, then turned to face the mirror. Which cheeks, though? You are strong. You are a champion. Kick some ass. You're an ass kicker. You can do it. Pumped up by his pep talk, he let out a high-pitched battle cry. Yeah! Yasuda charged over to the keyboard. Feeling ferocious, he started to type, his flaming keyboard fingers of doom. The words rushed out like a wild torrent. Come on, man, he shouted to keep himself psyched up. Shut the hell up, Mr. Yasuda, shouted his neighbor, an Indian exchange student named Mohinder from the other side of the apartment wall. Yasuda ignored him. Why was it so specific to give me all that information about the dude? Like Mohinder. What, is he going to have his own side story? After he fired off his post, the internet was quick to respond. When it did, Yasuda fired back again. It was like a fight that had been turned into a hell-bent brawl with no concern for defense. Hey, can anyone search this guy's earlier blog post and find out where he is? I'm pretty sure he said where he works. Now the cybermob was picking through the details Yasuda had posted, trying to pinpoint where he lived. Ordinarily, he would have been trembling with fear right now, but he refused to back down. LOL. If you're going to come at me, come at me. I'll take you on any time you want. I'll show you how to pull off an actual tackle. My only worry is accidentally killing someone. Before you fight me, you'll have to sign a waiver absolving me of any liability if you die. If you're still good with that, then bring it on. After posting his defiance, though, he felt a sudden twinge of worry. What if someone really did challenge him? What would he do? He didn't know how to perform a tackle or even throw a punch, really. Still, now was no time to hesitate. He'd deal with any challenge when it came, by taking it promptly to the police. Several months went by, and the flood of heated comments on Yasuda's blog continued. People had managed to track down his address and had learned his real name, but nobody had come to challenge him yet. In all likelihood, Yasuda's commenters were just like him, martial artists in their own minds only. That being the case, he decided he could go after them for all he was worth. Whoa, hey now, are the loudmouths who come to this blog really all talk and no action? Come on, I said I'd take on anyone at any time. If you've got beef with me, come to the statue of Hachiko in Shibuya tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Hell, I'll even pay you for your travel. You'll need the money for the medical expenses when I'm done with you. Hey Yasuda, it's 10 o'clock. Where the hell are you? I'm here. I'm a boxer with 5 years of experience. I've been doing jujitsu for 7 years and I'm here. Don't see no Yasuda though. Did Yasuda wuss out and run? Let's go to where he works. Don't be idiots. I didn't run off. I was just in the bathroom for a bit because my stomach was acting up. I'm by Hachiko now. How come no one's here? Don't lie, Yasuda. You're the one who's not here. I said I'm here. Where the hell are you? And to this day, the battle of imaginary martial artist versus imaginary martial artist rages on, each competitor still safely ensconced at home. The blog still gets over 1,000 hits a day. That is just sad. Like, that's just flat out sad. Anyway, onward to the next one. Okay, this one didn't take too long at all, so I don't know, like, what dictates how long it takes. Right, circle, 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 right. Hana. Alright. Perhaps growing up means having to give up some things. It's no fun playing with you, Hana. Go home. She'd probably never be able to forget those words, even when she had grown to adulthood. Hana Toyama loved playing hide and seek. None of her friends could find her when she was hiding, and on the rare occasion when she was it, she found everyone surprisingly fast. When it came to hide and seek, Hana was the best of the best. One might say that she had an exceptional talent. In time, however, that talent turned into resentment. Her outstanding knack for the game made hide and seek pretty boring. Nobody could find her when she was hiding, and nobody stood a chance of hiding from her when she was it. And how could that possibly be fun for anyone? It's no fun playing with you, Hana. Go home. Anyone whose best friend says something like that would feel pretty wounded. How about I go easy on you then? Hana said to her pal Rico. I don't want anyone to go easy. We'll have more fun if you're gone, so just go home. After that, Hana didn't play with her friends anymore. If she could bear up alone, she thought, the rest of them would enjoy themselves more. Besides, she never wanted to hear anyone tell her to go home again. Her father never made it back from work until late in the night. This left Hana to spend some long afternoons and evenings by herself at home. Around this time was when she started writing poetry to help fill in the time. But as for her hide-and-seek aspirations, those took a sharp turn one day at lunchtime. Oh man, the kid who just transferred into the class next door is amazing. Shigeo, one of the more excitable boys in Hana's class, was pressed up close to the classroom window. Man, look at how awesome his reflexes are, he pointed out into the schoolyard. The boys from the class next door were playing dodgeball. One of the teams was down to just a single player. Oh wow, the new kid's the last one left. The opposing team was doing its best to pelt the new student with rubber balls. He managed to avoid them all with nimble ease. Shigeo wasn't the only one held captive by the new kid's performance. Soon a whole flock of school children had crowded up to the window. Caught up in the flow of the crowd, Hana found herself standing by the windowsill. I hear he was hide-and-seek champion back at his old school, Shigeo said. Hana perked up. They say he can find anyone in under 5 minutes. The classroom let out a collective wow of astonishment. Getting in under the 5-minute mark was pretty impressive. For Hana to get a similar time, she knew she'd need to go all out. I hear he said he's going to make himself a hide-and-seek legend here at our school too, Shigeo chirped. No, he can't, Hana shouted before she could think better of herself. The classroom fell silent at her abrupt outburst. He can't be the hide-and-seek champion. Hana could be stubborn, in her own way. She wasn't going to let someone else win the title of hide-and-seek champ if she wasn't part of the games. But Hana couldn't ask to play hide-and-seek with the other kids anymore. Putting her foot down now wasn't going to do any good. Maybe you want to let him know that then, Hana? This time it was none other than Rico who had spoken. Let's play hide and seek again. We can invite the new kid to play. Hana could hardly have asked for a better suggestion. Alright, I'll go up against the new kid. Hana's eyes gleamed with an almost feral determination. The competitive spirit that she'd once locked away had escaped into the open. And if I win, we'll know who the real hide-and-seek champion is. What's this kid's name? Woo, go Taro! That was amazing, Taro! It was Shigeo, face pressed against the window, calling out unthinkingly. Taro. Several days later, the children assembled at the park after school. Hana and Taro, along with Shigeo and Riko, stood in a circle. I've heard about you, Taro said with a challenging sneer. Hana, huh? Pfft, what a dumb name. That's rich coming from someone named Taro, Hana shot back. Let's do this fair and square, guys, Riko said, keeping her tone nice and reasonable. Shigeo could hardly contain his excitement. Ooh, this is going to be so cool. Wah! The rules were simple. When Riko or Shigeo were it, whoever was able to stay hidden longer, Hana or Taro, would win a point. If either Haro or Tana were it, Taro, did I say Tana? Taro, were it, the other would win a point if they managed to be the last player found. Heh heh heh, Taro snickered. Try not to cry when I win, okay? You might want to start thinking of excuses for when you lose, Hana replied, triple snap. The four used rock, paper, scissors to decide who would be it. There was a long series of ties. Each time Shigeo would blurt out, "Oh wow!" Hana was just about to suggest that they split into two groups of two when the stalemate broke. Oh wow! Shigeo alone had thrown something different, and so he was it. It was time for the first round. Hana employed a hiding while moving tactic, skillfully shifting position to stay in Shigeo's blind spots. She didn't sense Taro anywhere nearby. While she stayed hidden, wondering just where he could be, a rock came hurtling through the bushes right in front of her. Also, just an aside, isn't that against the rules to do, like, hiding while moving? Like, because then, like, if you're really good at that, then the game would never end. As long as you stay, like, within their blind spots. That's kind of cheating. But alright. Hearing the rustling sound, Shigeo came running in Hana's direction. Oh wow, I found you, Hana! Ah! Shigeo's voice broke into falsetto as he shouted. Wait, did Taro do that? Hana huffed to herself, still vexed by the rock. Hide-and-seek became a much more complex affair after a player had mastered a few tricks. Hana's hiding while moving technique was one of them. Another such trick was to throw a rock far away from yourself in order to draw the seeker's attention away. Taro must have done that, and the side effect was that Hana had gotten caught. Hana could tell that she wasn't going to be able to coast through this competition. If she let her guard down, she'd wind up losing. She had to change her approach. Victory would be hers. She was not going to give up her spot as the school's hide-and-seek champion. A new fire burned in her eyes. It was time for the second round. Once again, Shigeo wound up it after losing rock, paper, scissors. Things were quite different than they'd been in the first round. Right from the outset, Hana and Taro resorted to rock throwing. Shigeo was easily misdirected by the sound of stones landing here and there. Come on, guys, this is dangerous, Riko exclaimed, standing up from the grass after a rock whizzed by her, and winding up the first to get caught. Soon afterwards, a clumsy misstep on Taro's part settled the round. He was about to throw another rock when he accidentally stepped on a dry stick with a loud crack. Found you, Taro! Wahoo! Now it was 1-1. After that, the competition became a steady back and forth between the two. With each new round, the winner and loser kept switching off, with no clear victor emerging. Shigeo and Riko were starting to get fed up with things, and so it's decided that the next round will be winner take all to settle the match. No way am I going to lose, Hana vowed inwardly. One final round. Taro was it. Taro closed his eyes and began counting. 1, 2, 3. The others scattered at once. Hana quickly hid herself in the bed of a truck parked along the road that bounded one edge of the park. 8, 9, 10. Taro finished counting and stood up. Just then, the truck's engine revved up. Huh? The truck took off, with Hana still aboard. Continued in Teru Toyama's episode. What? What? What?
actually getting invested in that. Well, onward to the next one. Oh, wait, I have to fix this timeline first. And then find a bad ending that I've never seen. Oh my god. Okay, since they were talking about a cat, that can only mean Tama. So that means I should probably go with the one that I didn't do. It's time I skin this cat. I need to get rid of this costume, whatever it takes. The exact origin of this phrase, there is more than one way to skin a cat, is uncertain and a matter of some dispute. Though it appears to have arisen in the latter portion of the 19th century, it's hard to imagine why anyone would want to conjure up such a gruesome mental image. It's actually true. I need to get rid of this costume, whatever it takes. I take hold of the head in both hands and yank it upward as hard as I can. Uh-huh? Please tell me I'm not just imagining things. The head feels a whole lot looser than it did before. If I gave it a good enough push, then maybe. Right. It comes off. Technically, wouldn't they have been able to figure out that that was indeed Maria at that point if they saw her? I did it! I slip out of the rest of the cat costume and gleefully abandon it as I head for the knick-knack shop. Huh. That was unexpected. That would have led to a keep out. Let's go here. And I might as well kill two birds with one stone. I might as well see what this bad end is all about. We go back to good days. It's never going to happen unless Suzune gets better. Feel about his former pals. Someone that can help your sister needs a heart transplant. Problem with heart transplants is that the timing is tricky. If there's a donor available, a transplant has to be performed within 4 hours. Things get dicey. Oh wow, I didn't realize. Someone with a heart that's a match for Suzune would need to die somewhere near her, somewhere they could perform the surgery within that 4-hour window. The odds of that happening are so small it would almost be a miracle, which is what Sister's been waiting for. She thumped the left side of his chest. If his heart would do it, he would do it. Then, hey, y'all got a strong heart too. Didn't mention it to Tony, but Suzune's blood type would be even more difficult because she had Bombay blood. That was the answer to one of the quiz questions. It's a rare blood type. Achi, Tomi sounded like she was on the verge of tears. If you did manage to find a heart for your sister, what would you do? I would do anything. Anything? Yeah, whatever it took. Risk my own life if it meant helping Suzune. At that point, some guy granted me a miracle or something, you know? Well, you were looking right at her because she had the same blood type, my dude. My dude. Mr. Tanaka, Tommy's voice was barely a squeak. For a moment, all was silent. Maybe it's just a cat, Achi suggested, or not. The doorknob rattled ominously. Really think that's Tanaka? Achi asked. Oh, wrong voice. I'm not sure. If it were him, I think he'd probably say something. Achi grabbed Hitomi's hand. We better hide. The two of them slipped behind a large piece of plywood stage dressing. The door swung open with a loud creak. In stepped a cat. Oh, it's just a kitty cat. A giant kitty cat walking upright. Tomi stared in confusion as someone in a cat costume slipped into the room. There was something vaguely sinister about the fuzzy figure. The cat had both hands stuffed into its pockets, and it shuffled as it walked, dragging one leg. Oh my freaking god, Tatano put on the cat costume. You think that's someone with the theater troupe? Achi whispered. Maybe? The two huddled in the shadows, pressed almost cheek to cheek. They watched as the cat rifled around inside one of its pockets, and then pulled something out. It was a bundle of keys. Or maybe not. No doubt the ones that it used to get inside.
Achi's eyes fixed on the furry mitt that held them. It was stained dark red. That could be only one thing. Blood. In that moment, Achi finally realized just what was going on. That's no theater guy. It was the assassin. He'd used a catsuit to slip past the theater people and had somehow gotten his hands on the storeroom keys. Now he tossed the keys away, then delicately adjusted the costume's wobbly head. Hitomi, we gotta run! Huh? Hitomi seemed frozen, mesmerized. Oh my god, the cat turned directly toward them. The fur around its mouth was stained crimson. Hitomi let out a high-pitched cry of shock. The cat drew its other hand out of its pocket. Clutched in its mitt was a gun. Achi and Hitomi had nowhere to run. Nowhere to hide. What's up with the cat? Disguised in the cat costume, the killer managed to corner Achi and Hitomi. But where'd he get that costume? As it happens, it's Tama's fault. She tossed the suit away after taking it off, allowing the assassin to find it and use it to deceive the theater troupe and gain access to the storeroom. Little could she have known. But hey, that's an extra bad end for me. I'm curious, what would happen if I continued on with Tama's story with that? I say Tama, like with Maria's story. Wait, it would have gone to Osawa? No, because I would have examined the Tanaka one. And that probably would have had Osawa. Curious, is this going to lead to a separate bad end for Tama? Which will help me fill out the chart? How did blood get on the mouth, though? Did not mean to do that. Oh, man. I screwed up. No, I could just back out, duh. But... yes, I know. See, it would probably map to around 28, so maybe 31? I don't know. Let's see. Okay. She headed for the knick-knack shop. It didn't count because I pressed triangle. Oh my god. Wait, give me a moment here. Okay, it seems to be a red herring? Because, like, yeah, every time I use that jump point, it takes me back to before the keep out for Tama. Unless that's there to, like, really hammer it home to you, like, hey, this is the wrong decision you made here. I don't know. And no one else's story, or jump points, rather, corresponded to that point in time for Tama. The closest was Minorikawa passing by her in the hallway, but that was for 5 minutes prior to that time. Okay, yeah, these aren't taking as long, which is good, because it's getting pretty late and I'm getting pretty tired. Please. Please. We're almost there. Can I brute force this? Oh, I can see it. Right, circle, 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 right, circle. Taku Okado. I want to finish reading about Hana. Who are you, by the way? I see you almost every day, it feels like. I wonder if you're aware of that. No, I'm certain you haven't noticed me. You're probably no more aware of me than you are of a stone on the side of the road. But I can't just sit here and say nothing. Not any longer. Please go out with me. I'm very serious. Please give me your response. Your secret admirer. As he finished up his love letter, Taku Okado let out a deep breath. After hours of racking his brain, he'd succeeded in spewing his honest feelings onto the page. The letter might have made him come off as something of a stalker, but hey, that was part of the charm. The important thing was that she knew how strong his feelings were. Okada worked at a convenience store close to Shibuya Station. A month prior, he'd happened to meet a young woman out in front of the shop, and he'd fallen for her at first sight. Is my controller... Oh my god. I unplugged it because I thought it was fine to carry on. Apparently not. Just grabbing the USB, whatever connector this is. It is plugged. It is charging. Okay. Press the PlayStation button. Alright, we're there. She didn't have the bearing of an office worker. She must have been a college student, he decided. After that first encounter, she came by nearly every day at 12:15 p.m. to buy lunch. A raisin sandwich and a coffee milk. That was her usual. On the rare occasion that she brought strawberry milk instead, Okada would worry that something bad might have happened. But despite their regular meetings across the counter, and the yearning looks he always gave her, theirs had remained the relationship of employee and customer. Resolved to change that, Okada had decided to pen the love letter. He needed to become a man before his 23rd birthday. Now the issue was timing. When should he hand over the letter? Should he give it to her when she came to the register to pay? No, that was too risky. If the manager spotted him, he'd be in for a world of trouble. Should he go after her once she'd left the shop then? No, that was a no-go too. If he left the register unmanned, he could wind up getting fired for it. What was the right move then? As he pulled at his hair trying to think of something, he was hit with a flash of inspiration. When he was bagging her items, he could slip the letter in among them. That way it wouldn't draw unwanted attention from the manager or the other customers. He did a little dance there in his room, rather pleased with his idea. And soon enough, the time came for him to put his plan into action. Okada had been acting nonchalant all through his morning shift. He greeted customers in a more lively tone than usual. There was even a legitimate note of appreciation when he told them thank you after they were done shopping. And then she came into the shop. The place was bustling with customers who'd come in to buy lunch. The young woman arrived right on schedule. With raisin sandwich and coffee milk in hand, she walked over to the register counter. It was only then that Okada realized the flaw in his plan. The shop had 2 registers. There was only a 50-50 chance that she'd queue up at his. This one. Come to this line. Okada tried to guide her with his thoughts, but the young woman got in the line for the other register. Oh well, it's not much, but I guess I'll grab one of these triangle packs of milk. A man in a trench coat picked up one of the small beverage packages and approached Okada's register. Maybe I should give up for today and try again tomorrow. But no sooner had the thought come than another voice welled up within him. Why do you always give up so easily? Are you going to be satisfied just gazing at her from afar forever? Don't you want to change your life? Isn't that why you wrote that love letter in the first place? The fires of determination blazed forth in Okada's eyes. Whoops, I tripped, he blurted a bit too obviously, bumping into the cashier next to him. The impact sent the money inside the register scattering across the floor. His coworker grumbled in irritation as he bent down to start picking up coins. His ruse had been a success. Pardon me, Okada called out. Next customer in line, please. The young woman switched over to the line for his register. The plan was back on track. The man in the trench coat stepped up to the counter. Okada was a mask of calm as he scanned the barcode for the customer's milk. By the way, I have one question, the man said. That'll be 105 yen. The young woman was in line right behind this guy. Same as always, she didn't look Okada's way. You guys still sell strawberry milk here? Okada took the man's money. Exact change, I see. He looked over and saw that the young woman had her usual raisin sandwich and coffee milk in hand. Used to be a huge fan of that stuff, you see. Thank you very much, sir. Next customer? Soon, she'll be right in front of him. The bag with the love letter inside had already been prepared, there underneath the counter. All he had to do was slip the raisin sandwich and coffee milk inside, and it'd be mission accomplished. Your total comes to 284 yen, Okada said with a slight lilt. The young woman flashed a faint smile. She pulled a 1,000 yen bill from her wallet. All right, this was it. Okada went to grab the bag with the love letter inside. Oh, that's all right, the young woman said. I don't need a bag. What? Okado stammered like a complete imbecile. But without a bag, your stuff. The woman unslung a bag of her own from under her arm. It was a reusable, eco-friendly shopping bag. A reusable bag, but how come all of a sudden Okado stammered. The woman smiled brightly. I care an awful lot about the environment. She placed the item she'd purchased into the bag, then briskly departed from the shop. It was Hitomi. It was Hitomi! Okado crumpled the love letter in his hand and let out a big, dreary sigh. All you had to do was just say something, dude. That's all. I say as someone who freezes up at the thought of, like, asking someone out or admitting I like someone. Like, yeah. Oh, well, that's what it be like sometimes. Anyway, time to get the timeline back on track. I never had this bad end, so maybe it'll be tied to this one. Where is Mr. Tanaka headed? To work. I sent him to pick up some documents. A necessary lie. If Tanaka was behind the kidnapping, Osawa knew he ought to tell the police about the blue minivan and the emails from Hitomi. But still, he just couldn't believe that his assistant really was the culprit. We have investigators en route to Tanaka's condominium, Kajiwara said. Let's wait for them to report in. On the far side of the room, Ai was squawking in frustration. Despite several attempts, she hadn't been able to get through to Tanaka. Kajiwara's phone rang and he pulled it from his pocket. Kano? What's going on? He headed into one corner as he spoke into the receiver. Suppose that'd be alright. What for, though? After a few more quiet words, Kajiwara held the phone out to Osawa. Well, the investigators in this scene would like to speak with you. I mean, this is all the same stuff. Osawa speaking. Kano, time is critical. Took a deep breath. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter, Hitomi? So startled, voice was caught. What are you talking about? Antiviral research was top secret. How does some detective from Shibuya precinct know about it? Alright, let me just shut up until, like, I notice a change. So his mind went blank. Or maybe this is a change? No, he hung up. That happened too. Sawa staggered out of the living room, needed to be alone. To his surprise, Kajiwara didn't try to stop him. No. Okay, shutting his study door behind him, he dropped to his sofa, then grabbed 3 times his normal dosage of stomach pills. No water in the room, so he had to swallow them dry. Echoed in his mind, I know what the syndicate is really after, Mr. Osawa. It's Hitomi. One reason they could be after Hitomi, he broke into a cold sweat as he began to understand what this kidnapping was really about. It all started 6 days earlier. It was April 22nd. Osawa had just returned from the United States the day before. He was in the midst of some routine work at the General Research Lab when his cell phone rang. LCD display showed an unlisted caller. With some hesitation, Osawa picked up. Hello? This is Kenji Osawa. The caller was using a voice modulator. I've used this one. I've read this one, right? To voice to prevent making a voice print, possible major challenge. Oh, this is similar. Yeah, no, this is all the same. Oh my god, man. Okay, looks like that option doesn't change anything. It just changes flavor text. So then maybe Kano's question? Yeah, alright. Syndicate is really after? It's the virus. Osawa remained silent. Might as well go through to the bad end just to have that unlocked. What? So I was so startled that his voice caught in his throat. What are you talking about? The antiviral research was top secret. So how did some detective from Shibuya precinct know about it? Osawa was bewildered. I'm the one asking the questions here, Mr. Osawa. Did you give the... No, that's... Wait, okay. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter Hitomi? I'm not sure I understand the question. I know what the syndicate is really after, Mr. Osawa. So his mind went blank when he heard what Kano said next. He could give no reply. Mr. Osawa, the detective continued after a moment. Is everything all right? Without really thinking, Osawa hung up. They were after the virus? Did he mean the UA virus kept at the lab? Wait, hold on. The detective had to be wrong about that. The kidnappers must have the UA virus already. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had to do what I did to Hitomi. Do not look away. These are your crimes. At last, Osawa understood what those emails from A were all about. A for Alphard. Oh man! They were a preview of the tragedy, or they could have been I. No. She just wanted to keep them in Japan. It was Alphard. They were a preview of the tragedy that was yet to unfold. The kidnappers probably meant to start the main event soon. It might already be too late to stop them. Mr. Osawa, Kajiwara asked, are you all right? The detective gazed with concern into Osawa's ashen face. Bracing himself, Osawa spoke up, his voice hoarse and dry. A killer virus is about to be unleashed in Tokyo. And I know who's responsible. It's me. The sudden confession caused the detectives on site to stir like a hornet nest. Please arrest me. Feeling the weight of his crimes crushing down on him, Osawa dropped his gaze to the floor. He held out both his wrists. I'll tell you everything down at the station, he said. Anything you need to know. Osawa imagined bodies dropping left and right. There were limits to what might be cured by the small stockpile of antiviral his lab currently contained. If they were unable to quarantine the infected in time, all of Japan might be engulfed in a pandemic that the drug could never stop. A massive outbreak of a particular infection on a regional or global scale. In 14th century Europe, a massive cholera outbreak is said to have killed 2/3 of the population. Holy shit. And the Spanish flu outbreak in the early 20th century killed at least 25 million people worldwide. Given modern advances in transportation, some researchers are of the opinion that the global risk of a pandemic is higher than ever before. Wow, that is, That is some unfortunate timing right there. That is some unfortunate timing. Man, 2020 sucks. He could only hope that his complying with the authorities might help stop the spread of the infection before it was too late. What? What? A fighter jet dropped a bomb? The thought of the UA virus devastating Japan filled Osawa with despair. Blaming himself, he asked to be arrested. But this only happened because of what Kano said to him. A simple error in word choice led Osawa to a completely wrong conclusion. Kano ought to properly inform Osawa just what the kidnappers are after. Alright, well that's another bad end. Now, let's get this bonus story, and then I can fix the timelines. Okay, here we are, and in retrospect, I think I came to that conclusion before, that the A was just a red herring to make you think it was I. But yeah, it goes back to like, oh, well, she didn't even know about all that. She just wanted to keep him there in Japan. Because, yeah, there was a period of time where the game had me thinking I must be behind all of this somehow. But no, she was not.
But yeah, I think I'd already like established that thought process of how the game is trying to guide you at some point during the earlier portion of the game. But if not, well, you heard it here. Anyway, right, circle, circle, circle. SaltyK. Oh, I heard. She's nice too. Ni hao, welcome to Imabiki Chinese restaurant. I'm Takie. Taki? I don't know. I work here. Oh, what's that? You think that's a strange name? Yeah, I guess you're right. It is a weird name. Imabiki Chinese restaurant. Or Imabiki Chinese restaurant. So it's kind of a long story, but there was this video game called Imabikiso. It involves a mysterious drug called Vision that causes you to be cursed by a woman in black when you take it. And, okay, yeah, it's a long story. I'll quit while I'm ahead. Anyway, the point is that there was this game called Imabikiso, and this restaurant opened to commemorate its release. A lot of the menu items tie in with the game. So let me introduce you to the mysterious charms of Imabiki Chinese restaurant. Here, have a cup of oolong tea. You can sip on that while you listen. The food here is cooked using a closely guarded 4,000-year-old Chinese technique known as the Huo Jiao charring method. China is said to be home to 8 great regional cuisines, and so the menu is divided into 8 broad sections, but each of these is cooked using the Huo Jiao method to bring out unique and striking tastes. You want to know more about the Huo Jiao method? Okay, I shall tell you a part of the ancient secret. So you know how if you burn something just right, you can get this nice tasty crunch? But if you burn it even a tiny bit too much, it becomes a nasty and edible mess? And so then you've screwed up, and sadly you just have to toss the food away. The Huo Jiao method isn't like that. It involves charring the ingredients through until they're pitch black. Huh? Why are you giving me that look? You don't think food like that could possibly be edible? Well, just hear me out until the end, alright? The offerings on our menu are things most everyone should be familiar with. Sweet and sour pork, pot stickers, shumai, green pepper steak, stir-fried shrimp and chili sauce, Peking duck. All pretty typical examples of Chinese food, right? But here at Imabiki Chinese restaurant, we char all those dishes until they're truly full of flavor. You can even choose whether you want your charring done rare, medium, or well done. Well done makes the food look like a burnt lump of charcoal, but provides an exceptional texture and aroma. Try it once and you'll be hooked. I bet you'll want to swing by our restaurant every day. The secret to making everything so delicious are the herbs we use, which are an essential part of the Huo Jiao method. These herbs are extremely rare. People who taste them say it's like they've been transported to another world. What herbs are these, you ask? That's a trade secret, I'm afraid. Oh, I can't wait for you to try some. Once you've had them, I'm sure you'll never forget. We have a lot of regular customers, and a lot of students from nearby universities come here as well. Oh, and what perfect timing. Here's one of our regulars now, Hiroki Makimura. Oh, don't be like that, Hiroki. Say something. Ever since eating here, everything I eat or drink has this bitter taste. See what I tell you, eating here gets you hooked. And it isn't just bitter flavors. Lately, I can see everything. What was that? The woman in black. I can see her. Well, let's let him finish mumbling as he finds his way to his seat. Hiroki's looking a bit unwell today. Look, here's another of our regular customers now. This is Masato Watanabe. Mind sharing a word or two with us, Masato? Rather than obtain sublime pleasure, the woman in black will burn you to your very bones. Well, I'm not sure what that all means. We're going to die. You, me, charred, twisted bodies. Never mind these, eccentricities. Since the food here is themed around a horror game, the customers tend to get in the spirit of things is all. Anyway, don't look so nervous. Let me show you to your seat. What? You look like you have something you want to say. You think I'm hiding something? I'm surprised. I didn't think you'd notice. That's alright, though. I'll tell you everything I've been keeping from you.
Like I said, make sure to hear me out until the very end. And then you will be cursed. Cursed just like Hiroki and Masato. I'm just messing with you. Did I spook you? There's no need to worry. Of course you're not going to get cursed. Because, you see, you already are. Don't you remember? That oolong tea you drank? It was steeped with those special herbs I mentioned. I suppose now I can tell you what it's called. What you drank is tea of Imabikiso, the searing herbs of hatred. You can hear a voice, can't you? A woman's voice, dry and raspy. Go on, sit down. Here's your seat. You're never going to escape, so you may as well accept it now. Now then, let's start over. Welcome to Imabiki Chinese Restaurant. Well, that's creepy. And they continue to curse people until Cherry ate them out of house and home. Anyway, let's fix this here timeline. Okay, this one happened like the quickest out of all of them, thank God. Come on, last one of the day, because I can't do the Suzune one. Come on. Come on. Almost there. Come on. You can do it. Come on. Getting closer. Alright. Right, circle, circle, right, circle. Teru Toyama. A man who survives on the battlefield that is journalism. The story takes place right after the founding of Heaven Publishing. In a certain high-class residential neighborhood in Tokyo, Toyama hid in the shadow of a telephone pole, an infrared camera in his hand. He eyed the entrance of the upscale Japanese restaurant across the street through the viewfinder. Ugh, I'm so sleepy. How many days has it been now? How much time and money had he spent... Oh, that's not him talking. How much time and money had he spent in getting this far? And how little did he have to show for it? He felt a pit of emptiness and despondency open up inside him. But he couldn't give up now. This was the one good lead he had to go on. Toyama had been closing in on a big scoop. There were persistent rumors about a number of the reigning political party involved somehow with the head of the Shirmine Gumi Yakuza syndicate. If the stories turned out to be true, it could lead to a major upheaval in the government. A party that had held power for quite some time would probably fall from grace in dramatic fashion. The public wouldn't stand idly by. If it became well known that people in the government were in bed with the Yakuza, there would be a national uproar with international repercussions. Japan's reputation on the world stage might well become mud overnight. A scandal like that probably wasn't in the country's best interest. But the alternative was surely worse. The infection needed to be located quickly, and then excised. And the only one who can expose that infection is me. Toyama's smoldering sense of purpose blazed up once again. But his target was doing a good job of not giving himself away. Toyama was certain that the Diet member and a high-ranked Yakuza used this restaurant for their meetings, but neither had shown himself since he'd started his stakeout. Had word of his activities been leaked? No, that can't be. He'll definitely come back here. Toyama was certain of it. But despite all his waiting, he hadn't had the slightest cause to click the shutter on his camera. What are you doing? A voice asked suddenly from behind him. Toyama whirled around to see a familiar face. It was a reporter who had written for the rival paper back when Toyama worked for the Central Times. Are you on a stakeout? Sweat beaded along Toyama's back. The newcomer glanced cautiously to either side before leaning in to whisper into Toyama's ear. You waiting on the Yakuza boss and the Diet man? Toyama's eyes went wide. How do you know about that? It's supposed to be an exclusive scoop that nobody else had caught wind of. My colleagues and I know all about it. It's too big a lead not to have heard of, but the top brass has forbidden anyone from looking into it. Toyama's heart sank. He worked so hard, come so far, all just to get his hands on some info that everyone else in the business already had. And not only did they have it, they'd already decided not to publish it because of the risks involved. I'm telling you, this is for your own good, Toyama. You need to drop this one. You must be joking. Do you know what'll happen if I just let this slide? Toyama wrote articles because he needed to put food on the table. But he was also motivated by a strong sense of justice. Journalism and justice had to go hand in hand. Come on, Toyama, you're not just some upstart kid anymore. The man frowned like a disapproving schoolteacher. Toyama bristled. At least I'm not the one sacrificing the truth to protect the status quo. Look, if you want to make fun of me, go right ahead. I've got 2 kids and a loan on the house I just bought. Toyama practically lunged at the other fellow. Damn it, man. Have you no sense of pride? Whoa, hey, hold on. Let me finish. The man pulled free of Toyama's grasp. I came to find you because I have a scoop for 4-star General Gossip. Huh? Toyama stared back at him in disbelief. I'm not allowed to write about this, but this business still has to go public, right? Wait, so you're... Yeah, I'm giving you the info I've got. He and Toyama shared a conspiratorial look. It is getting so late over here. There's a warehouse down by the docks you might want to check out. Toyama lurked near one corner of the dockyard warehouse. A lukewarm breeze wafted against his cheek. How many hours had he been waiting? Had he gotten a bogus tip? He had half a mind to give up, but stubbornly he continued to wait. Finally, a black car approached. Toyama hurriedly slipped behind a shipping container and readied his camera. The vehicle parked near the water. The lights cut out, and the engine fell silent. The windows were tinted, concealing whoever was inside. A few minutes passed, and then Toyama heard the sound of a small pleasure yacht humming across the waves. Its lights drew closer and closer, making a beeline for the car's position. The craft drew up alongside the pier, and several thugs got out, scattering to secure the area. The car door opened, and someone stepped out. Toyama readied his camera again. Through the viewfinder, he spied the senior secretary of the Diet member he'd been investigating. If that guy was here for a meeting, there could be no doubt about who had sent him. Then someone appeared on the deck of the boat. Oh my god, yeah, this needs to be the last thing I record tonight. His suit fluttered majestically in the salty sea breeze. Toyama recognized this man too. It was the Yakuza boss's right-hand man, his chief negotiator. Toyama clicked the shutter wildly. He captured the entire scene as the secretary took one of the thug's hands, boarded the craft, and began talking to the Yakuza henchman, looking relaxed and familiar. This would be a political bombshell. The waiting of such a major leak between the government and the underworld would turn Japan on its head. Huh? One of the thugs picked up the faint sound of the camera shutter. Yeah, that's why you don't take continuous ones in a row, my dude. He began striding in Toyama's direction. The two made eye contact through the viewfinder. Uh-oh. Not a good time to get discovered. Toyama scurried away, desperate to flee the scene. He spotted a truck parked a short way down the road. There was no time to look for something better. He clambered up and hid himself in the bed of the truck. A moment later, the truck's engine started and the vehicle sped away. Oh my god. Toyama lay huddled on his side, his eyes scrunched tightly shut. Only occasionally did he risk a glimpse at the passing scenery. The truck left the harbor and got onto the Shudo Expressway. Then it merged onto the Tomei Expressway. Or Tomei, whatever. That meant it was going to keep heading west, probably for quite some distance. It was indeed a good long while before the truck finally stopped. Once he'd heard the driver get out and walk away, Toyama popped his head up and took a look around. His eyes alighted on a blue road sign nearby. Nagoya? Oh, that was bad. This was bad, rather. He needed to get back to Tokyo right away. Wearily, he dragged himself to his feet. As he did, he sensed something behind him. Dad? Hana? Is that you? Somehow, Toyama's daughter was in the bed of the truck there with him. Hana, what are you doing here? I wanted to be the hide-and-seek champion. Hide-and-seek? So what, you hid in the back of this truck and then... Oh no, Hana gave a tiny nod. But what are you doing here, Dad? Right. That. Well, Daddy was chasing after a scoop. Aha. Yeah. The two chuckled awkwardly. Well, first things first, Toyama said. We need to get home. They climbed out of the back of the truck and started walking. So, did you manage to become the hide-and-seek champion? Definitely. The kid who's it still hasn't found me after all. What about you and your scoop, Dad? Oh, I was right on the mark. Sales for the next issue of 4-Star General Gossip are going to be through the roof. I guess that makes you champion too, Dad. I guess you're right. And as dawn broke over the streets of Nagoya, father and daughter walked amiably along, hand in hand. Well, at least we got a nice little happy story for Toyama and his daughter. But yeah, I'm about to go ahead and fix these timelines now. And, yeah, because I don't anticipate, wait. Oh no, here we go. Yeah, I don't anticipate having access to, Shizune's story, because quite frankly, I don't know how to get to it. So next time will be this one thing that I know about. Well, that I know about now. But, I can barely think right now. I'm actually pretty damn tired. It is 2 a.m. I started recording this at 11, thinking like, oh yeah, I'll be fine. And technically I was fine like 90 minutes ago, but it was hard to find stuff. But yeah, next time we'll go to the thing that I am fully aware of. Also, let me just check. Oh wait, it's not going to tell me the things here. But yeah, the event that I'm fully aware of, why can I not exit, please? That'll just take me back. That's controls. Oh my god. Fine. Whatever. Just exit here. But yeah, next time we're going to the labyrinth. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. See you next time for some more Let's Play 428 Shibuya Scramble. The bonus stuff. Oh, and those take the place of the clues once you find them. Alright. But yeah, we go into the labyrinth next time. See you all then. Goodbye. How many bad endings do I have? Please be 50. 7 away. Alright, I'm gonna have to grind those too. Should I do those first or should I do Labyrinth? We'll do Labyrinth. Goodbye.